Hi, and welcome to TV My Husband Hates. I'm Cat Sims.
And I'm Reagan Kempton.
And we are reality TV addicts.
Addicts, aficionados?
Ooh, I like that. Experts.
Experts.
Basically, we know our shit when it comes to reality TV.
100%.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of TV My Husband Hates. I am your host, Cat Sims, and I am obviously joined by my amazing other host, which is Reagan Kempton. How you doing?
I'm good. Hope everyone's doing well in this frozen tundra of a world, seemingly. I feel like everybody I know is freezing wherever they are. It's freezing here in Colorado. It's freezing there in London. It's apparently freezing in Texas.
Is it freezing in Texas too?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like it's literally cold all over the planet this weekend.
There's something weird going on with the world. Weird going on with the world.
Could just be like those Arctic blasts from Canada. We get them quite often, but I don't know how often you guys get them. But
we call it, I don't know whether this is the case, but every time we get really, really cold weather, it's always the beast from the east. That's apparently what the problem is. I'm from Russia.
From Russia. Got it.
That bit round there, I think.
Yeah, that sounds like a wrestling intro. The beast from the east is.
Anyway, so we're all in the middle of the beast from the east. And
yes.
How's your week been?
You know, it's been okay. I feel like the cold weather in February in general and the pandemic, everything has fucking come to a head for me this month.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because just adrenaline I've been running on the past fucking few months, but I think it's just I'm over seeing electoral partisan bullshit. I'm over it being cold as fuck outside and not and having to be inside. I'm tired of it being gray. February is not a good month for me.
Winter's not a good time for me either. And I think as well, you're not the only one. I think I'm seeing a lot of people struggle, hit a wall right now. And I think we're just all done. We're over it.
For sure.
Just want life to go back to.
Well, and I think normally the way I get out of it is that we start planning trips or planning things to do when it's warm. So that pulls me out of it. But we can't even really do that right now because we have no idea what's going on.
It doesn't stop me sending you links to really fabulous villas, though, that we can never rent because of COVID.
But other than that, we're great. The house is starting to move along, so that's nice. We supposedly are moving back up at the end of March, but we'll see. So,
well, that's exciting. That's soon.
That is quite soon. Quite soon. It'll be after my birthday.
Not soon enough, I imagine.
Not soon enough. No. So I think I'm just over everything this month. That's an upbeat start.
Isn't it just? That's the spirit. Why don't we? I know what we could do to make it better is we could talk about the review that we got this week. We always like to talk about the reviews that we get this week.
Yeah, we got our first written 1-star review. I think we've gotten some other 1 stars, but nobody's written anything. Let me pull it up.
But this one, Social Sally really went to town. That's not just me coming up with a generic name. That's actually her name, by the way.
Yeah, that's the name on the review.
She obviously really felt passionate about it. I'm fine with that.
All right. So her review is, cancel this, 1 star. The English one is annoying AF. Your country still has a monarchy. You have bigger issues than a housewife from the OC. From Social Sally, February 1st. I mean, maybe she's just over February as well.
Thank you so much for your feedback. I always love to take on constructive criticism. I, on behalf of my country and my monarchy, apologize deeply for the offense that we are causing you. And go fuck yourself. Joking. Listen, it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? I've been on social media long enough to know that not everybody likes you. I
feel come out with me with something more creative. Tell me, I don't know, tell us our chat is shit and we don't know anything about Bravo. Fucking really get in there and attack us. Monarchy doesn't really do anything anyways.
I'd be way more offended by that. This is this is baby trolling. This is amateur
shit. Up the troll game. If you're going to troll us, you got to up it.
It's not my fucking first rodeo, babe. So do you know what I mean? Like, bring it on. Anyway.
And I just generally don't give a fuck about other people. So
I know. I know. Almost.
You got to up it
Almost.
to like really annoy us. Get in there. This is your challenge.
Really go for it. Because if you're hoping that I'm going to stop, then
That's
I'm
not
not.
happening.
Also, where's your podcast, Social Sally? Just saying.
For
Anyway,
sure.
moving on. We have got a quiet week this week. For some
Yeah.
reason, I don't know if we know why, but there is no Real Housewives of Atlanta.
They just need to take a break. Their job is hard.
They work so hard.
They really do.
I don't know how they cope.
No, it's a rough life.
It
It's a
is.
rough life.
Well, let's hope they come back fully rested and ready to bring something a bit more exciting than
I
they have
do
been
have a
bringing.
feeling that the next episode is very spicy because
Fire.
it involves strippers and some closed door sounds, all
Oh,
the things that we're
yes.
fans of. So hopefully we'll have a lot to chat about next week with them.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. But we were discussing it earlier. I said I wasn't gutted that I didn't have to watch Real Housewives of Atlanta. And it's always been since last season a little bit on the we've always been a bit on the fence as to whether include it or not. And I think we've agreed that we're just gonna see how it goes. But if we feel like we're loaded with shows, it'll be
Better
the first one
shows.
we drop.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
And if you feel we should think otherwise, convince us. Send us an email at hey@tvmyhusbandhates.com. Send us a DM on Instagram. Message us. Bring us over to the Real Housewives of Atlanta side, or just agree with us because the last 2 seasons have been not good.
100%. And also, if you, like Social Sally, would like to take time out of your day to write us a review, good or bad, frankly, because it all helps, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
A review is a review, and the more engagement our podcast gets, the more exposure we get. So thank you, Social Sally. But if you'd like to write a review, please go and do it, because obviously, and subscribe, because that really is how we grow as a podcast, and we are growing and we're excited about it. So keep it coming.
Absolutely.
Shall
we? Yeah.
Should we move on to our 2 shows?
Let's move on to the 2 shows.
Let's start with Below Deck, because that came first. And actually, I'm starting to enjoy Below Deck again. Like, I felt it just got a little bit boring.
Yeah.
Now I feel like they're picking it up a bit.
I mean, they're picking it up right in time for the finale next week because we'll be done with it next week. It's the last show.
Oh, God. Good Lord. But let's talk first about the kid, the guest that Aisling cuts off because he's drunk half a bottle of Hennessy.
I mean, I think he's white privileged, just like as a person. If you looked up white privilege, you'd see this kid. Like, he was such a dick. And I'm 100% team Aisling about lying to him about the hot tub because that little fucker would have drowned himself.
Totally. And I think his parents are totally on board as well. But this is the nature of this kind of setup, that they live for their tips. Otherwise, it's not worth it. And they have to make that decision between doing what the guests want, regardless of whether it's a good idea, to ensure the tips, or making the smart decision and risk upsetting the guest and reducing the tips. But I think I'm with you. Aisling makes absolutely the right choice when he's jumping in and out of the tender. That's dangerous.
Well, and he's fucking 18. Like, he's not a fully formed man yet. I mean, he won't be for many years, but he has no idea.
Probably another 34 years or something.
At least. But yeah, like, she made the right decision. I mean, I think we see the parents later on where they actually, they're cool with her cutting him off. I mean, speaking of their tip, though, their tip was fucking abysmal.
I didn't think it was great, considering, I mean, how rich I think they are.
Well, I don't know if they're as rich as they would like everybody to think they are. They were the subject of a documentary called The Queen of Versailles, which
I remember you
pulls the curtain back on their millions or what have you. I still think they're doing better than to leave the tip that they did, but I just thought like they were having a lot better of a time. Like, they were really bonding with Captain Lee over like their children. Service was pretty spot on for them, like, other than the mahi mahi debacle. Everything was fine for them. I just thought they were a bit cheap.
No, I agree. And also, I felt like, I thought that it was, I mean, I liked that they were there for Captain Lee. I loved that their presence gave him a chance to work through some stuff. And I really think that that helped them. But I found these guests quite uncomfortable in terms of the way that, they spoke. Like, when the dad's like, I wonder what the poor people are doing today. And,
Yeah.
and all of that stuff. I just thought, and then the talk about the Democrats are overblowing COVID just to mess up Trump's election. Obviously, we're like so far past that now, but it's just difficult to
I'm so
that
deadened to that speak. I mean, I don't know if we've ever talked about like what I actually do, but so being a social media manager, I literally have to spend pretty much my full day looking at that. And when you're on that, you just see all the other bullshit that you don't really want to see, but you have to let it in. And so I feel like I'm just deadened to that. Like I would expect nothing less from Florida Republicans than to say all the shit that they said. Like it's very on brand for them.
Yeah. I mean, it is. And it's still interesting that it kind of blows my mind to hear it.
Yeah.
And yet for you, you're like, this is just what the last 4 years has been like.
Yeah, that's just what they sound like. Those are the words that they speak.
Well, thank goodness he's gone now.
That's right.
So the other, the other big storyline this week was James and Liz.
James.
I have to say,
you let us down.
He's let me down as a really annoying as fuck British one, English one, because I'm going to let it go eventually, but it's not going to be now. Because I got him at first. Like I got that this was cheeky banter, that he was charming and kind, and the way he was treating Liz was cute. And now I'm annoyed that he is proving Rachel wrong by just not being brave enough and having the respect enough to sit Liz down and go, look, it's not going to happen. No, nobody can hold that against you. Like, try it out with somebody. It doesn't work. You can leave a relationship. It doesn't make you a dick. What makes you a dick is leading somebody on and not being straight with them.
Absolutely. Like he's 100% proving Rachel correct in like her initial assessment of who he is. But I still don't think that's really who he is. Like I think he got scared.
Yeah.
And now he's being a dick. Like I feel like had Rachel stood up for him, he wouldn't have been a dick. However, him being a dick is not Rachel's fault. Like you still need to be a big boy and just be like, look, this is just for fun. Like we're not going to have our children crystal good vibes or any of that shit. Oh my God. I mean, I live in Colorado and even that is a stretch for a name, but yeah,
I love that.
James, but let us down,
I agree 100%. And this is when he gets a bad name. Like you can sleep with somebody and then choose not to be with somebody be honest about it. That's fine. It's when you lead them on. That's when you become the player. And I think you're right. He's making this decision, or he's making these bad decisions out of a place of fear.
For sure.
And I get that because Liz is full on. She's pretty terrifying.
She has named their children.
I mean,
like, dear Lord, woman.
It's ridiculous.
It's been a couple weeks.
So I understand. But also, I didn't like this kind of age shaming that he did where he's like, she's 30, I'm 26. I was like, it's basically the same, dude. Like, come on, you're 26. You're not 19.
Well, and obviously you're at the same point in your life. You're both still working on yachts in the middle of the ocean. It's not like she's a fucking financial whiz on fucking Bond Street and you're working on a yacht, so she should be well above you. Like, you guys are in the same place in life. It doesn't matter how old you are.
No, I agree. But I think this is going to, lucky James is all I can say, because it looks like the conversation's been taken off the table anyway with the ending of this episode. Looks like he might get out scot-free, which he doesn't deserve.
He 100% doesn't deserve it. Like, any dudes who listen to this, if you are over sleeping with a girl, just tell her you're over it. It's going to save you a lot of fucking hassle and a lot of bullshit at the end of the day. It's not that big of a deal.
Because then they do this thing where the girl doesn't get told, but because we're not idiots, we can sense that something's not right. So then we quite rightly will ask the question, like, is everything okay? And then, some of us might, Liz probably, would get a little bit crazy about it and be like, hang on a minute, nobody's telling me anything. And then they make you look like, as the woman, this crazy bunny boiler.
Yep.
And all that's happened is that you haven't been straight with her and you're leading her on.
Which I think is the point of the entire cycle.
Yes, of course it
Make
is.
women look crazy and you look normal, and it's really just because you've not been fucking honest.
Yeah, 100%.
Damn, I'm glad I'm not dating.
God, me too. Can you imagine?
No.
Oh my God. I was so bad at dating. I was so bad. I remember one. Oh no, I don't think I should put that on there.
I had fun with it, but I'm glad I'm not doing it now. Because I think social media clouds a lot of it. Because like I dated pre all this stuff.
Yeah, I did some online dating, but it was MySpace, and I think Match was out, but it wasn't like we didn't have apps on. There was no swiping left or right or anything like that. It was just emails.
Fucking Facebook wasn't even around when I was dating.
Guardian Soulmates. Do you know what I mean? That was where I was.
For sure. The Onion website had like a dating thing that people did. I mean, that's like how early the online dating stuff was when we were dating, because we're old as fuck.
I remember going out with this guy and having dinner, and about 45 minutes into it, it was lunch actually. I went to the loo, came back, and he was on the phone. And he's like, yeah, okay, no worries. All right, well, yeah, I'll see you soon. And when you know they're talking to a girl. And I was like, oh, who's that? And he went, oh, it's just this girl that I've been seeing. And I was like, you know what? We're like, that's okay. We're not.
We're not married.
We're not exclusive. Yeah. And I said, oh, how long have you been seeing her for? And he's like, about 7 years. And I went,
what the fuck?
I was like, so is it your girlfriend then? And he went, well, she's more of a roommate. I went, are you telling me that you live with your girlfriend?
Oh, no.
And you're on a date with me? He's like, yeah.
What a dick.
I was like, I think we should probably leave this here. So he drove me home and he had a VW Bug. And I remember thinking, because they've like always been my favorite car. I was like, it's a shame this guy's a wanker because I love this car. Took me to my house and still went in for a kiss at the end.
Oh, he didn't get the memo.
He didn't. Didn't get the memo. And I literally was like,
what? Was this south or north?
This was in the north. This was when I was living in Harrogate.
Like the driving you home bit tipped me off, because you don't have to do that in London. But
no.
Oh man.
But no, in the north apparently we just get into cars with strange men.
That's what the whole 90s and early 2000s were all about. I mean, now we do
almost
too.
Almost married men.
Just in like Ubers.
Yes.
It was only out of fashion for a little bit.
Anyway, we digress. Let's move on to chat about Rachel, Francesca, and include Elizabeth in this, because I think that this is like this three-way dynamic. And for some reason, I have gone right off Rachel.
Dude, because she's complaining to like an underling about their boss's performance when she and the boss are supposedly on like the same level. A peasant, a pleb.
No, she is. And she's calling Francesca out on not being professional.
Yeah.
And yet it's sat bitching with Elizabeth about all of this stuff. And I think I'm right, and you can probably tell me if I'm wrong, but in the hierarchy on a boat, a chef is slightly higher than the chief stew.
Yeah.
So for her to be bitching with a third stew is just awful.
It's not good form. It's all a bit icky. And I have to say, Rachel sure complains a lot about managing people when she literally manages nobody. All she has to do is her own shit.
She's not great at managing herself when she's not working. Like, keep your side of the street clean, babe, before you start worrying about everybody else's. And I think the two instances we've seen, the mahi-mahi and the condiments, both of those were bad communication on both people's parts.
Absolutely. They both have to own their part in both of those mishaps.
This isn't like, and this is a problem that I have with Rachel, because Rachel is so addicted to the drama and she's so addicted to the shouting and screaming and throwing herself around that when there is a mistake, her first instinct isn't, okay, what's the solution? We can deal with this later.
Right.
There's no solution for Rachel apart from to get really angry and ragey. And it's Izzy that comes in and is like, well, I'll just go and ask if we can borrow some sauce from.
Right. I loved how Izzy played that. Like, well, there's like a restaurant right there. Can't we just ask them to borrow some ketchup?
Right. And this is my problem with Rachel. It's like you are supposed to be leading a department. Okay, it's your department, but it's kind of pretty central.
Yeah.
And yet you're throwing these tantrums and bitching with staff in a really unprofessional way.
Yeah.
And as much as Chess might have made a mistake or not communicated as clearly, at least she stays professional. I believe that she stays calm. She'd never, in front of guests or while they're on location, turn
No.
around and go, "You fucking shit at your job."
No.
You know.
That's uncalled for, and it's just it's gross, icky behavior.
It really
I
is.
think if you don't manage anybody else, you really have no place in commenting on anybody else's management style. Because I mean, I think you're right. Like as a chef, your job is very fucking important on this boat, but ultimately, you manage no one and have everybody's help.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like cuz the people on deck come and do the dishes for her. Like the interior are serving the food. Like I don't know. She actually doesn't have to manage anybody, but she gets everybody's help in doing her job.
And you see everybody else muck in to help her. But
Yeah.
when they're busy running around doing something else and they can't immediately come and help pack
She
bags,
bitches.
she's bitching and moaning about it.
Yeah.
And that annoys me. And I find it so fascinating that she gets these fixations on people. Like she's fixated on James. That's it. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what James does
No.
now. He's a cunt as
He
far as
could
she's concerned.
marry Elizabeth and she would still say, nope.
Right. And then the same with Francesca. It doesn't matter what and I think
No.
Francesca's pretty actually good at her job. Like I think
Yeah.
she has a personality clash with Liz, but I do think Liz is just too airy fairy to get anything done. She just doesn't
Also,
listen.
Liz does not own her fucking side of the street for that debacle either. Like, you don't do
No.
your job. Like, you don't show up and try every day. Shut the fuck up if you tell me you do, because you don't. We've all seen it.
And you can't go through life just wallowing in the rage if there's a
No.
problem or if somebody makes a mistake. It's just not helpful. But
No.
I think she suffers from knowing how fucking brilliant she is as a chef. And there's
Yeah.
no question about that. And I
Yeah.
think that gives her a sense of entitlement that comes out in a way that just can often be bitchy and bullying.
I mean, it's Gordon Ramsay syndrome, isn't it? Like, you're fantastic. It just makes you act like a gigantic dickhead, fuckface.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because you know that you're safe. You can act
Yeah.
how you like. It's like when you're off your most awful self to your husband.
Yeah.
Because you know that you're kind of fucking
They're
locked
sticking
into that
around.
contract.
Right. Or your best
Exactly.
friend or whoever.
Yeah.
Like the people who are close to you, you can be the biggest asshole to because they're going to be there regardless. Like you wouldn't be most of us wouldn't be that big of an asshole to like randos on the street. Now
No.
maybe
Or
randos on the
work
internet.
colleagues.
Yeah, or work colleagues or whatever, but yeah, I don't know.
She's got some issues, I think. I'm interested to see. She's the one I'm most interested to see in the reunion.
Yeah, she was doing some sort of like adverts now as well. Like I think she's been picked up on for some ad campaign in the US. It was very fucking unsettling to like see her in a different situation. I was like, "Whoa,
Get
that's
out of my
fucking
face.
weird." Yeah, I didn't invite you on my TV. You only come when I tell you you can come.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, speaking of people with attitudes,
Rob's still got his dickhead pants on.
Jesus Christ, what is his problem?
I don't know whether they're editing this so that the only thing we ever hear him say is just really outrageously awful, or whether he is just has nothing nice to say. But
I think he just has
I
nothing else going on. You know what I'm
I am
saying? Like
blown away by this guy.
he's being so passive aggressive and such a dickhead. I love the way Izzy handles it. I love that she goes to Eddie for advice, not can you take care of this
Yeah.
for me? Like we've seen so many other people do. And I love that Eddie's like, look, you need to call him out. If that still doesn't happen, then you need to let me know.
Yeah, because as Eddie says, she's an extension of him. So if he's
Yeah.
disrespecting her, he's disrespecting him. And I mean, maybe I just have unrealistic expectations of people, but I'm genuinely shocked that somebody can maintain so consistently this ignorant, misogynistic behavior while you're being filmed.
Well, I mean, the
without
dudes.
thinking.
Yeah, I mean, the dudes from the last crew maintained it an entire season.
Well,
So,
yeah,
I mean, they've set
that's
the
true.
bar quite high. But for misogyny. But I think what's crazy about it is like Rob pre all of this, I never ever got the sense he was like a massive dickhead. He was
No.
fine. He was like a little weird nerd dude talking about Dungeons and Dragons. He just seemed very chill, very just like right in, like no big problems.
No,
And then
I
this
mean, his ego
happens.
is so fragile. It's embarrassing.
It's too much,
I mean,
man.
it's going to be a good reunion, that's for
For
sure.
sure. It
Um,
absolutely will.
but before we go, let's talk about the finale of this show with the news being delivered to Elizabeth that her services are no longer required.
And she's shocked. She's genuinely shocked that this is
like
happening.
She's been punched in the gut, like it's a physical what? And I'm like, babe, did you not see this? Was there not even a little bit of you that saw this coming?
I mean, we've all literally seen it coming since like episode 1.
Yeah.
The entire season, you've been on tenterhooks about your job and you haven't even known?
And the 75,000 times Chess has had to sit you down to have a word about stuff.
Like, that's not
doesn't
normal.
Give you an inkling?
Oh, she's so clueless.
She's so clueless.
It's just painful. It's
just watching
painful.
her cry and pack and sob and whinge and beg for her job back is going to be nothing short of sphincter clenching next week.
No, and it's the finale next week. And I think it's because coronavirus numbers are growing. So obviously, I think some charters have had to be canceled, like post this one. So,
well, I think that they, excuse the pun, literally abandoned ship. Like, I think that the whole season gets shut down.
Yeah. So the finale's next week. And then hopefully we'll have a good reunion because there is shit I want to know about. And
me too. So much.
Crazy.
Okay, let's move on. But before we do, okay, let's move on to our second and final show of the week, which is, of course, Real Housewives of Dallas. And I'm still loving this show.
I'm massively in love with Tiffany being on this show.
Me too.
I think she is pushing them and elevating everything about this show and making, I think, us as the watchers really look at the other housewives and think about kind of their lives. I hope I'm making sense, but I really enjoy seeing an actual working mother on the shows. Like, I know being a mom is a job. Like, I'm not dissing that at all, but there are definitely different time constraints on parents who work the normal kind of 9 to 5 or whatever, then have to mom and maintain a social life on top of that. And I feel like that's where we're seeing the clashes with some of the other women in her.
Well, it just adds another level, right? Because there's only so much you can get out of watching really rich, white, privileged people who don't really have anything to do with their day other than perform for cameras. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There is something a lot more authentic about having somebody who's got other commitments and other priorities beyond the TV show. And I love Tiffany for that reason. But I think you're right. She elevates the whole cast. And I think there's a few that are coming up looking a little bit, what's the word?
Lacking?
Yes, let's go with that.
Maybe that's the nice way to put it.
That's the nice way to put it. And I really appreciate that Tiffany wants to do something to get to know these women better.
And it's something that's fairly normal. Like, it's not this like over the top kind of crazy thing. Like, it's, I mean, she has an over the top crazy house, but they make tons of money, so they can do that. And the pizza oven looked amazing. But you know what? I have friends with pizza ovens in their backyard, and that's a total normal like night thing to do. Like, come over, make pizza, we'll hang out, drink wine, and just be normal.
Yeah, and I really appreciate her lack of insecurity in that she doesn't feel she needs to perform or show off or, you know, show how much or spend tons of money. She does nice little touches like the aprons with the names on and cute stuff like that, but there's nothing ostentatious about her. And there could very well be, but I don't know whether maybe she just doesn't have the fucking time. But I like the way that she's keeping it a little bit more real.
Well, 100% her husband's answering the door and like he helped her set up and the kids helped do the table. And I think it's just a much more normal snapshot of what life actually is like for people. Again, they do still have crazy amounts of money and they do have
Yeah.
help, but I feel like it's a more normal level of money and help, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know whether this is just my own bias playing in, but there's always something. I don't know whether this is going to go down very well or whether I'm going to get shit
Eh,
for it, but it's nice to see a couple who kind of have an equality, who we can see why they're really, really wealthy. Like they've not come from loads of money.
no.
One of them didn't marry a really rich family.
Yeah.
Um, they've both worked their asses off and earn a ton of money. And I really value that image because too often we see that not happening. We see men being super successful and women not. And I'm not saying that's anything wrong, but I
Yeah,
think there
yeah.
needs to be a balance, and we haven't had that balance before. So it's
No.
nice to start to see that a little bit more.
I agree. I mean, I definitely think you can see both Tiffany and her husband have crazy amounts of ambition and drive and are super supportive of each other, whatever they want to do with that. And I think you're right. That's a really nice dynamic to see that is lacking from literally every housewife show.
Yeah.
Because it's either they have
So
mailbox money, so that, they just get like checks from a trust or whatever, or the husband is very successful and the wife isn't. Or the wife is very successful and the husband is kind of doing things. We don't really see a proper power balance, which I
yeah,
actually think is more what people need to have
well, I also
successful
think that's
marriages.
more representative in this day and age as well. Like, I think, of course, there are people, but I think the majority of couples, both of them are probably working, both of them are probably bringing in an income and managing that time. And so I think there's a certain amount of relatability to Tiffany that extends far beyond how much they have in their bank account. And that is lovely to see. And it's interesting to see how it's ruffling the feathers of the other housewives.
It's really making them upset.
It's, I mean, listen, I have to say, I do think there are a lot of rules at Tiffany's party.
There.
It didn't feel like she was setting up a really fun night. Like, and
I
I can
mean,
understand how that would perhaps affect the vibe, but also it's not the end of the world.
really the only
Like,
rule is putting the booties on in the house, right?
yes, absolutely. But you know what the girls are like. But then they've also applied this to this 10:30 curfew text. And we talked about this. I think
Right.
she is so justified in sending that text.
100%. I mean, you guys who have listened to us long enough know that Kat and I both are a bit of buzz chasers. So, like, if we were to get together for a
Don't know
pizza
what you're
night
talking about.
and we had like meetings the next morning, that text would go between the two of us. Like, we have to have a hard stop because if you don't keep me accountable and I don't keep you accountable, we're going to be fucked for our meetings tomorrow because we will just keep drinking.
Yes, but the problem is we get to 10:30 and we're already
Fuck it,
fucked. And
it's
then we go,
fine.
it'll be fine.
I'll just be hungover on the plane. No big deal.
Yeah. Oh, God. I remember driving you to the airport
I was
in
in so much
February.
pain.
It wasn't
So
good, was
much
it?
pain. No, no. But I got a whole row to myself, so I just slept the whole plane. So, silver
I was
linings.
so worried about you.
Oh no. It ended up
I was
being
like, she's
fine.
going to be chundering at 30,000 feet the whole way to Denver.
Surprisingly enough, that has not happened since I was 16. Like, I have puked many, many places on this planet. But not a plane since I was 16. And I drank too much limoncello in London on my art history trip.
Ugh.
And I had to fly home. I know we flew from like Italy to Switzerland and then Switzerland home. And the flight between Italy and Switzerland was like this tiny plane that just like went like this the whole time. And I drank like a bottle of limoncello the night before. It was not good. My art history
That
teacher
didn't work out well.
I almost could not get on the plane.
Imagine if you'd been that kid.
I know.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Anyways, sorry for the digression, but
No,
I
that's fine.
understand sending a text just saying, hey guys, just a heads up. I've got something going in the morning, so we'll probably wrap it up around this time. Like, I think that's a fine text to send.
And also not just something going like, I'm going to go to hospital and save lives in the morning in the middle of a pandemic. So do you mind
Yeah.
if we don't get absolutely shit faced? And I've
Or
got two
you
young
can get
kids.
shit
So
faced. We just have to be done by 10:30.
yeah, just fill your boots. But
Yeah.
what they don't do, but because they're annoyed that she's put some boundaries in, especially Carrie, because like that's a red flag to a bull as far as she's
Right.
concerned. Come 10:30, they've set an alarm, and come 10:30, they just up and leave.
It's so fucking rude. I was
It is
appalled.
so I was appalled.
As
That's
a
the word. I
Texan,
was appalled.
that's very fucking poor form.
That doesn't
My
seem to fit
mom
into
would
the
have been
Southern
mortified.
etiquette.
No, no, you don't do that.
No, you don't. You at
You
least,
wind it
like,
down
she was
and
like,
leave. Like,
finish your glass of wine. Like, they were in the
no,
middle of
Cam's
a
like, nope, gotta
conversation.
go.
God, that cat, oh, I can't with Cam. She drives me insane.
I can't with Cam or Carrie this season. Like, Carrie
No,
has really just, like, even her being a good mom can't really redeem this shit with me right now. Like,
no, I
I
hear
don't know what
you.
the fuck her problem is. I don't know if she's trying to fill the power vacuum that's been left after Leanne of like inappropriate behavior, but she's just
She's
being an
just
asshole.
mean. She is.
Yeah.
She's just mean and unhappy and vicious and full of vitriol, and it's uncomfortable to watch. What did you think about the whole Tiffany spiking the pizza with crickets situation?
I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I
I
mean,
didn't either.
I also think nobody could actually have tasted it because everybody was fine until she said that there were crickets. And then I felt Brandy's reaction was way over the top when I was watching it the first go round. I have then since learned she was actually pregnant filming at this time. So part of me was like, I think she is a bit sensitive, anyways, but maybe she's extra sensitive because she's pregnant and that's what made her
And she
puke.
didn't know she was pregnant
She
at the
had no
time.
idea she was pregnant because she was told she could never get pregnant again. But anyways, I think they all made like a big to do over nothing.
I mean, I agree. I think it was a huge reaction from Brandy, but fine, that's her reaction.
Yeah.
But the only person that really is in this fight is Brandy. I'm
Right.
just sick of Carrie
Oh,
searching out any kind of conflict just so she can
yeah.
get her rocks off on it. Like, she's enjoying it. She loves that feeling of being able to get salty and being able to call somebody out.
Yeah.
And we know all it's projection, projection, projection.
For sure. It's so
But there's
obvious.
no self-awareness.
No. And it's like I don't know if just be like below her surface there's just this fucking rage boiling about her situation in life because that's how I feel. I feel like you say one thing, she has to jump in because she has to have these like little releases of all this rage because she's so fucking unhappy with her life. That's how it
And
appears to me.
interestingly, I agree because when Deandra was with the dirty shaman,
Oh
she
God.
I know it's
We'll
awful.
come back to him, but go ahead.
He she talks about being jealous, and like it's always a hard thing, but actually I think it's interesting in this case because the things that Carrie craves the most are a good relationship with Eduardo and financial independence.
Yeah.
And those two things Deandra has in spades.
Right.
Like, she's financially independent, and her and what's his name?
Jeremy. Jeremy.
Jeremy have, from everything that I've seen, a really amazing relationship.
Oh, he's like one of the most lovely people, I think,
He
on
is.
the
And
planet.
so I can fully appreciate that there is room to say that Carrie resents that for Deandra.
I think you're 100% correct. I think if you look at all of the interviews Carrie has done, even like last season, all she has wanted to do is be kind of financially independent. And I don't know if it's because she's not happy with Eduardo or she just doesn't feel like she has anything or she's deathly afraid of him leaving her. Like, I don't know the reasons behind
I
it.
feel like she's going through some sort of midlife crisis and would
Yeah.
like to leave Eduardo, but can't because she doesn't want to give up her life, her like
Right. And I mean, this is
lifestyle.
the thing that makes me not that sorry for her. Like, well,
Yeah,
you could go fucking get a job tomorrow. But what do you want to do? Like,
totally.
no, I want to create this jewelry empire and probably use Eduardo's money to get that going. Like, let's be fucking brutally honest here. Like, you're not financially independent. Your husband bankrolled you a fucking hobby job.
Yep.
And now it's not working out and you're really sad, but not sad enough to go out and get a job.
No. And,
or stop drinking at 10 p.m. so you could actually work the next day. Sorry. Miss Judgy Pants just came out.
There she is. No, but I agree. It's like, don't sit here and sing your sob story and say that you are trapped. Like, put across this idea that you're a victim trapped in this awful marriage. You always have a choice. And like, you have more choices than most.
Fuck yeah.
Let's be clear.
Let's check your privilege, my friend. Like, let's not be an asshole about, other people who definitely have it a million times worse than you do during the pandemic.
100%. Is there anything else that we want to touch on in Dallas before we wrap it up?
No, I mean, I think we're just going to see more of kind of the same stuff. They've got a girls' trip to Austin coming up, which could be interesting. So we'll see.
We will. We're now off to go and record the podcast for the Southern Charm reunion.
That's right.
That will be dropping as well. And that is fire. So make sure that you catch that one because we have got a lot to say. There's misogyny, there's racism, there's cheating, there's double standards, there's all sorts of things to talk about there.
And hot John Pringle.
And hot John Pringle.
I'm going to miss him every week.
Me too. But for now, that's it. Have you enjoyed? How was it for you, Reagan?
It was good for me. Really quickly, just a couple of announcements. Below Deck Sailing Yacht starts March 1st, which we'll be adding into the lineup. And one of our all-time favorites, The Real Housewives of New Jersey, is back next week. So they will be added to our lineup for Shiz on the 17th.
Atlanta better deliver, otherwise they're going to find themselves kicked to the curb.
That's right.
Thanks so much for your time. We never take it for granted. We hope to see you next week. And in the meantime, remember,
smart people watch reality TV too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Please subscribe, rate, and review TV My Husband Hates wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at TV My Husband Hates and join the Facebook group to keep the conversation going when the podcast ends. If Twitter's your thing, you'll find us at TV Husbands Hate. Theme music and production for TV My Husband Hates by Jimmy Sims.